I will win the crowd. I will give them something they've never seen before.
Was shared to the socials. We've got a few live listeners right now, so hello and welcome everybody. Okay, welcome to the Clock End Talk, an Arsenal podcast. You can get us at Twitter at @clockend_talk. We're also on Facebook. That's about it. Yeah, we throw out a question thread every week, usually Monday or something, and we record lately on a Tuesday. However, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be here in the next 2 weeks because I'm going away. I'm going on some holidays. So, oh, mate, MAA Gunner, he's in the chat. Tez has a corona-based cough, mate. It's like 7:30 in the morning here. Tez has just woke up and rubbed his eyes, and I'm sipping on a cup of coffee. So, a bit horsey in the throat at the moment, mate. That's just the usual Tez. Tony, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it's nice to see your team win football matches occasionally. I'd kind of forgot what it felt like. Everyday life is fine. So, yeah, can't complain too much.
How are you guys coping over there now? Has things started to die down around the coronavirus?
They've eased lockdown. I don't think there's any reason for it, but I think, well, they've eased it because no one was listening anymore. Like everyone's just bored of it. I don't think anyone's scared of it anymore. When they first started lockdown, everyone was scared of getting it and scared of their family members and whatnot, which is scared is the wrong word because obviously it was a genuine thing. But now people just don't really care anymore. Like there's only so long you can sit inside doing nothing, not going to work, not doing any of your hobbies. So I think now it's just at the point that everyone is just doing their own thing. And from Saturday, pubs are open again. The only thing that's not open from Saturday, I think, are like gyms and swimming pools, stuff like that. And they're going to be open at some point at the end of July. But they're going to do localized lockdowns if an area has a spike of cases. So apparently Leicester had a spike, so it got locked down last night. I don't know how long for. But again, it's not policed. So, I mean, I'd imagine if I wanted to, I could drive to Leicester now and drive back. But that's apparently it's in lockdown.
Yeah, okay. Now they opened here in Australia. They opened the Queensland border last night. They said they're going to open it as of the 10th of July. So, Island Boy Gooner, I'm heading up your way, buddy. He's just said, but Victoria have had some spikes in cases, so they've shut that all down again, and things are slowly getting back, I guess.
I think pretty much most of Europe is opening for the rest of Europe from Saturday, so you can even like go on holiday and shit. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact dates, but I think the exact countries. And it's one of them weird ones that they say it's not open at the moment, but if I wanted to catch a flight to Spain, I could get one. So I don't really know. It's like this big significant, it's open now, but I don't think it was ever not open.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's just because we had, and obviously talk about this because it's in everyone's world at the moment, but do you think crowds are going to get back to the Premier League this season at all? Because we had 10,000 turn up at the NRL.
0% chance. I mean, they've already given us our money back, and football clubs don't do anything for free. So there's only a few weeks left as well, really. I mean, we're at 1st of July in about an hour, and then I think the FA Cup final. I think there's a small chance that the FA Cup final might have like a quarter allocation, maybe. If it's Arsenal-Chelsea, which I don't think it will be, but if it is, then they might go quarter or half allocation because there's no travel. They're both in London anyway, and half allocation you could keep. I know when COVID first started, I think I mentioned it on here, they done a study at the Emirates, and they said they could have comfortably got, I can't remember if it is 15,000 or 15% of the ground in socially distanced 2 meters, no problem. The issue was that it would have taken them 3 hours to get in and out because obviously everyone would have had to come in their 2 meters and you can't have queuing all the way around. So they've had to come at their designated time and then someone comes late and it fucks everything up. So even with like the severest the rules have ever been here, we could have got, as I said, either 15,000 or 15%. So I think where the rules have been a bit lacks. That I think, especially if it is two London teams in the FA Cup final, it'll probably be two Manchester teams. But if it is two London, then I wouldn't be surprised if they do maybe 25, maybe 50% allocation for the cup final. But it'll all go to suits anyway. I'd imagine there'd be very few genuine fans there.
Okay, so that rules you out, mate.
Pretty much. I mean, we ain't gonna be there, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Why would you go and watch Manchester or Manchester and Chelsea? So we had 2 games during the week, Southampton, and then we played an FA Cup, obviously. Southampton, mate, how do you think? We came out, we looked okay, and what lineup, things like that, you thought was pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be the question of Aubameyang starting wide and someone else starting up front. It was, I remember thinking at the time, and we're going back almost a week now, it was one of the most bizarre formations I've ever seen. And then we played similar again at Sheffield United it was like a back 5, but then with the 3 up top, still 2 really wide. So Aubameyang left and Pepe right against Southampton. And you would assume that they would just get in each other's way, but it worked okay with Aubameyang because obviously he tucks in because he's more natural in the middle anyway. It was horrible on the right-hand side because the Hector, Pepe and Ceballos, Ceballos was on the right side of the 2 centre midfielders with Xhaka on the left. They were just all in each other's way, or they're only 5 yards from each other, so it was really easy to block passing lanes or block them in. I read the stat that Pepe had more touches against Sheffield United in the first half than he did in his 79 minutes, or whatever, 70-something minutes against Southampton. But I just remember watching it line up because I think we saw the team sheet and we didn't expect them to line up like that. And then when you're watching it and you see where the players are, and I was just thinking, I've literally never seen anything like this. And I mean, look, it worked, and it's worked 2 games in a row now. But I just found it really weird at the time.
Yeah, well, they put it like I'm looking at FootMob here now, and they've got it as a 4-3-3, and I'm like, nah, it wasn't. It was more like you described. The formation. It was strange, but that leads me to. I don't want to criticise Pepe because I think he's got sparks of brilliance. I don't think it was his best game, but I'm wondering whether it was due to the formation.
It wasn't a good game for him, but I don't blame him at all. And this is not me protecting the golden boy or protecting the expensive signing. The amount of times Bellerin and Ceballos gave the ball away was insane. Like it was just ridiculous. I think they were the 2 worst players on our side of the pitch comfortably. And then with the spaces they were taking up, as I said, it was weird because Pepe was basically hugging the touchline. Whether he was supposed to be or not, we don't know. So maybe it was his fault. Yeah. But then you've got Hector as a right wing back who doesn't overlap or underlap really. And you just got them both in the same space. And then Ceballos gets the ball and he's only got one option because of their positioning. It only takes one defender to block 2 men. So then he's trying to force balls that aren't really there or force a ball through to Eddie, which isn't really there. And it was just a real mess over that side of the pitch. And as I said, the other side, it seemed to work well because, as we've seen, Saka bombs on, and Aubameyang tucks in. So
I think you hit the nail on the head with Ceballos, and you look on the other side with Saka and Tierney there as well as Aubameyang did just work really well, but Bellerin and Ceballos maybe just. I don't know, maybe they just didn't really know what was going on or how to play that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, it depends what instructions Pepe was given because you could put the blame on him for staying wide because Aubameyang didn't, and that's what made it work. He went inside, but then you could also say, what's the point going inside if Hector isn't going to overlap, which he didn't really do. So you don't know what they've been told. And also, I mean, Pepe, I think it was at the end of the first half, played a really good ball through to Nketiah, who snatched it, he shot and it went wide. And if that goes in, you're talking about, obviously, he's got an assist and was it really too bad? And that's why, obviously, assist stats don't always sit comfortably with me because you can do everything right and someone can miss a sitter. and no one ever remembers it, or you can pass the ball 1 yard and someone beats 11 men and scores, and it goes down as assist in the history books forever. So, look, he wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't his best game, and it's so frustrating because he was one-on-one so often, but we just couldn't really get him into the game. And I mean, it is what it is. He got his 70 minutes. He looked fit. He looked sharp. Not your day. I mean, it can't always be your day, and is what it is.
Yeah, look. Yeah, and that's what I said. That's why I said I don't think it was his fault, but I just think that he didn't have a great game. So, I'd probably get crucified. You start slandering the golden boy and the big sign, and then people go, "Come on." It was great to see Eddie get a goal.
Yeah, and the type of goal as well. Again, it's not going to win any beauty prizes, but you close the keeper down, and sometimes you get rewards, and it shows why it's worthwhile, because you could probably do that 100 times and never get anything out of it, but it shows the persistence and why you keep going, because it takes very little out of him to do that 100 times, and the one time it comes off, you get yourself the lead in a game that if it was 0-0, who knows what would have happened, because do you know what I mean? We're more nervous at 0-0. They maybe have a bit more confidence, and that moment completely changes the game. And this, obviously, I'm not going to call it individual brilliance, but it's just a complete individual thing. He's done that off his own back. He's got no support from anyone else. No one else has played a part. There's no assister. And fair play to him. And it's probably one of the reasons why he's in the side, to do things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I like Eddie. He's a young player coming through, and he works all the time. He works hard. He just, he's put in a couple of mediocre performances, but I've had an off day, but he just keeps giving, you know what I mean? Like, he's not that, your Pepe and Aubameyangs who are just brilliance and shines through on a big day. Like, he's a young player who just gives everything for me, and I like that about Eddie. And not saying that others don't, but sometimes you look at him and you think you're really giving it all. like that's what I like about Eddie, and I'm glad he got the goal. But that leads me on to Willock. He comes on and gets a goal as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking last week about scoring nothing from midfield, and then we get 2 in a week. Do you know, it was and Willock, it's weird because when you watch Willock, especially if you watched him in the youth teams or the younger teams, and especially when he was first breaking through, you'd say he has got the instinct for a goal, that he looks to get in the area and score goals. And it's weird because we haven't really seen that in the first team so far this season. But that goal is a great example where obviously the free kick goes into a wall. He gets himself onside. Lacazette takes another shot. Willock makes sure he's onside, but then he's also travelling forward to make sure he's first to the rebound, and then slots it in. And them finishes it's weird because they're easy and hard. It's easy, like just put it in that space in the goal. But when you've got a 6'5" keeper making himself a big starfish running at you, sometimes it's easy to lose your head and just slash at it. But he rolls it in. He does the job that looks a lot easier than it is. And gets his goal, but that's just that natural instinct that we feel like we haven't had from midfield, that he has shown before, and it's good to finally see it, and obviously good for him to get his first Premier League goal.
No, that was good. Willock, Eddie, couple of young players, Saka. This is obviously, it's not much of a choice because we'll look at our bench, but these younger blokes are getting a run, and that's good to see at the end of this, at the end of this season. And we really haven't got much to play for this season. Let's face it. Like, I want to see these younger blokes get more of a run going into these last few games. The FA Cup, though, coming against Manchester City, and we'll get on that a little bit later, but I'm going to talk about Sheffield United now, and I'm just trying to get the team sheet up. The lineup was a little bit different, but Willock got obviously rewarded. Lacazette then came in. Aubameyang got the rest. That's where he seems to be focused on, Arteta.
Focused on what?
On the FA Cup with the Sheffield United. You think he might have been looking at Southampton?
I would argue quite strongly that it was a weaker team. and I made money betting on that it was a weaker team. I mean, you take Aubameyang out of our team, and we've been moaning all season. You take Aubameyang out, and you've not got much else left, and they did. So I don't think he's disrespected the competition. I'm not saying it's a seriously weak team, but I would say he's allowed rest to his what I'd call the first team players, where he can get them in. It seems for all intents and purposes that he fancies Hector as the first teamer, whether it be right back or right wing back, and he was rested. Aubameyang was rested. I mean, there was 5 changes. Kolasinac came in when he could have kept Holding in. I know Holding's match fitness is an issue due to not playing for so long. So it's I think I wouldn't say that's where the priorities lie. I think he gave the players a rest that needed a rest, and if anything, the team was slightly weaker than a full strength team. I mean, he doesn't. It seems pretty obvious now that he doesn't see Lacazette as his first choice striker, and Lacazette started. So for me, that shows that it wasn't. You could maybe say a rotated squad rather than a weaker one, but I definitely wouldn't say that's where he's putting his attention.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm just trying to get an idea of where Arteta's going for those last few games. Like, we're still 10th in the Premier League. Okay, we're thereabouts in the. Where I say we're thereabouts, we come up against Manchester City in the FA Cup. So we've got a few hurdles. We've got a massive hurdle to get through, Manchester City. And then obviously you skip into the final. But I'm trying to work out also, as I look at these teams and I see a Lacazette playing in an FA Cup, and I think, okay, come the summer, is Lacazette. Oh, maybe I'm thinking too much into it, Tony. Like, is Lacazette going? Who's he preferring, and who looks like staying, and things like. I'm trying to read maybe a little bit too much into the team's selections.
I just think he rested people where he felt they needed resting. Obviously, Hector played all the games, and again he'd been out with a long term injury until January/February. Where he properly came back into the team. I said Aubameyang rested, Eddie rested, who again played 90. I think he played 90 or played a lot of the game at Man City. Played against Southampton. So it was just I just think the players that needed a rest, he was giving them. I don't think Arteta's really going to show priority. I think he's going to demand that we have enough in every game. So I think what he feels is his strongest whilst fit team is going to play in every game.
Well, I was a bit surprised to see David Luiz come in the FA Cup team. That was one I thought, okay, you played like a busted ass the other week, but I know you can't hold a grudge as a manager. You can't hold a grudge on a player, but I thought an important game. And then testing David Luiz again. Maybe it's just to give him a bit of confidence. I don't know. That was one I thought.
This is where I think a lot of fans they've seen what happened against City, and I said it last week. I think people have overreacted. If we're playing a back three, he's gonna start. Like, I don't see that as a rotation at all. The only slight change to that is that I said last week as well that me personally would be an audition phase for Holding. And I'd give him every game, if he's fit enough till the end of the season. And obviously, he started against Southampton. He came on in this game. For me, if you're going to play a back three with the players at the moment, the only 2 options to play in the centre are Holding and Luiz. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow because, I mean, we don't know if David Luiz is fit. Obviously, he came off injured. But it'd be interesting to see who gets that spot in the centre. Even if it is David Luiz, I think Holding will play on the left and Mustafi on the right. I can't see the experiment with Kolasinac as a centre back lasting too much longer.
Okay, couple of goals there. Pepe got one, and Ceballos, he got the other one. Oh.
Yeah, it's so weird without crowds. Obviously, I'm watching it on TV the same as everyone else, and when Lacazette gets fouled, I'm sitting here screaming penalty. And, usually, like, when there's crowds, like the whole of the Arsenal, ref penalty. But where there's no noise, and the players didn't really appeal too strongly. I'm sort of like, what's going on? I expect, like, people to be causing riots here. and it's sort of more like, oh, ref, can we have a penalty, please? Obviously, he's given it, and Pepe's took it well. He obviously froze the keeper, so he walked up slow enough so the keeper couldn't commit himself, and he's wrapped it in the corner. Good penalty.
I've only seen the highlights of this game because I was looking for it live, and I got no idea who has it on in Australia. I'm like searching through, and so somebody shout out where it is because I want to watch the City game, and I don't do no little dodgy streams. So so if you can shout me where to watch the FA Cup, good. At Gurna Tez, because I've got no idea. And then obviously Ceballos got one late, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like all heads down. I think it was the 88th minute where they got their equaliser. I just want to touch people. I think, again, people have been so harsh on Holding for that goal. You've seen all game, and I know you haven't seen it, but the wind was causing havoc. I mean, Dean Henderson kicked the ball out of his hands, and the first bounce was on the edge of our area, and then it nearly went in. Like, Martinez was scrambling, and I think touched it over. He claimed he didn't, and we got a goal kick. But the wind was causing the ball to do crazy things all day. And then obviously for their goal, Holding's got underneath it and misread the flight. But I think he's caught the wind. And then Kolasinac, I think he's got to react better. I think he expected Holding to head it and then sort of switched off. And then when it's come to him, he's panicked, kicked it against Mustafi, and McGoldrick gets a tap in. But the wind was a big factor in that game. I've seen Ollie McBurney play about 10 million times. I didn't realise how good he is in the air. Fucker wins absolutely everything. He's, I honestly, do you know when you see players and you're like, they're half good at everything, so they're a handful because he gets a decent amount of goals. He's quite quick without you saying like he's electric. I always thought he was sort of half good in the air, half strong. And I was watching him. I don't think he lost a header all game. And I know people are going to go, oh, Arsenal's defenders. But look, I'm no Mustafi fan, but the guy doesn't usually lose many aerial battles. He's very good in the air. And McBurney was just winning absolutely everything. And in the end, the Arsenal players stopped competing because they felt like they were taking themselves out of the game because they were going to try and get it. He flicks it on, and now we're one defender less. So then they were just letting him have it and staying in shape. But I mean, they had a few chances from throw-ons and corners, just purely because of his aerial strength. Their goal that got disallowed in the first 10 minutes, Lundstrom, really fucked me off because they scored the exact same goal in the league. Mousse scored it, but obviously it was onside and given. And I was just like, don't you learn? I know we've got different manager, but all the players are the same. Just fucking learn that this is what they've done against us in, I think, in September or October. But yeah, I mean, fair play to McBurney. He was an absolute handful and probably deserved a goal on the day. But yeah, so they score them, and I think a lot of our heads are down. Then they have another good chance. Martinez makes a good save from Billy Sharp. And at that point, you're thinking, fucking hurry up and get the final whistle done. Like, take this to extra time. At least then if they score, we've got half hour to reply. And I think the board went up for 5 minutes, and you're thinking, oh no, what is happening? And then, we have a counter-attack, and I think Sheffield United lost their heads. I have no idea why they were left so short at the back. I think they got excited about the thought of going for a winner and completely forgot that actually it's okay to draw because then you've got another half hour of being the superior team. Good counter-attack. Saka done really well. Eddie done really well. Pepe, not the best. I think sometimes he gets himself in positions where you know he's going to try and get back on his left foot and the defender reads it. And then Ceballos, I'm not his biggest fan, but he's done excellently. He sold the defender. And then I think 99% of people thought he was going to play the cutback. Eddie had made a really good run. He slots it. It's poor from Henderson, and I really, really rate Henderson, but it's really bad from him. He leaves his front post open. There's a rush of blood. He comes running out when he don't need to. And Ceballos tucks it in. But I think that's the most I've celebrated a goal at home in years, because I don't really like watching Arsenal on TV because it feels so different to me. Obviously, I'm used to being with however many thousands of people freezing my bollocks off and shouting and screaming whatever you want. And then when you're sitting at home, it just don't feel, it feels weird to me. But yeah, when that went in, I jumped up, ran around the room, gave it a little fist pump. But it was also a bit it was a bit bittersweet, and this might not make sense to a lot of people, but obviously, of course, I'm buzzing that we got the win, and I'm running around my room celebrating. But I'm thinking, can I imagine how that away end would have been with a winner sort of against a run of play in 92nd minute up north, where you don't get any credit for anything. There'd have been limbs fucking everywhere, and you kind of think, oh, what if? Like, of course, obviously, I wanted us to win, but you just can't help, because that's the end we'd have been at as well. Like, that would have been the Arsenal end. So you just think, like, that would have been, like, what a moment. I think it'd have been one of them moments you remember. Like, you always remember last-minute winners, because the celebrations are always a bit different, and there's always someone that does something ridiculous and goes and hugs an old paedophile or something. And, yeah, I just wish that fans could have been there for that, or I could have been there for that.
Saying that. Yeah. Instead of sitting in the lounge room hugging yourself, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've run around screaming. The dog thinks I'm telling him off because I've gone from silent to jumping up and down like a fucking Donkey Kong. and yeah, it doesn't quite feel the same as running through 3 aisles and jumping on someone's head in Bramall Lane.
Okay. Who do I want to speak about Martinez. His performance in 2 games, because we weren't sure whether Macy was going to get a start in the FA Cup last week.
I mean, I was praying against it. I didn't say I was pretty confident Martinez would start because Macy is shit. But yeah, he got his start and he's done well in both games, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, the guy's distribution, just to touch for everyone, the guy's distribution is absolutely insane, and I've been going on about that for pretty much as long as we've been speaking about Martinez. He's sometimes I think he's a bit too calm and he puts other people under pressure when he doesn't need to, but his kicking is top drawer off both feet. But he's actually done better in terms of a raw goalie than I expect. He's commanded his box better than I've seen him before, and he's made a couple of saves where just I didn't expect that of him. Like, shot stopping is for me not one of his greatest strengths, but he's made a few saves, and there was one, was it against? I think it was against Southampton, where he saved it with his left hand, and it was a really strong left hand, and he scrambled on the rebound. But there'd have been a lot of keepers, and a lot of times that you save that, but then it hits your hand and still goes in. Like, if your hand's not strong enough, and I think he's done really well in both games, to be honest.
Okay, I was just reading. Yeah, Island Boy Gurner said, for you Aussies, it's on ESPN on KO Sports, so I'll be tuning into that. 2 games, 2 wins. Put it down to Granite Xhaka.
I said this to someone the other day. Like, the stats will tell you we're a better team in there with him in there. And someone said to me, "Watch football with your eyes." And look, there's a problem.
Someone said to you.
Yeah. But and my reply was, if your eyes can't see we're a better team than when he's playing, there's a problem. we clearly, and look, am I saying he's the best player ever? No. But at this present time, we are a better team when he plays.
Absolutely.
And that's as far as it goes. And I also think he's under Arteta. He's been less sloppy, made less mistakes. I mean, the problem he's got is there's still a lot of people don't like him, whether it be for telling fans to fuck off, he was right, or throwing his shirt, or just not being very good over the years, or making silly mistakes. But I saw someone, like, he gave the ball away, and then 20 seconds later they get a throw on, and then they throw a ball into the box. Kolasinac boots it against Mustafi, and their player scores inside our 6-yard box. And I genuinely saw someone tweet, fucking Xhaka again. And you're like, that's that reputation now that, yes, he gave the ball away, and obviously I'm not saying that's fantastic, but
as soon as he does something wrong, they're into him. No,
but it doesn't even have to, like, he's done something wrong 30 seconds before the goal, maybe more, maybe a minute. Yeah. And it's like, forget the 10 mistakes after him, but because people don't like him. And look, Ozil gets the same treatment. What game was I watching? And we lost it, and someone blamed Ozil. And I was like, he's sitting at home. Like, he's actually not even. He's probably not watching the game, but it's his fault. Yeah. Like, and there's certain players that get that reputation. And Mustafi's another one. Whenever anything goes wrong, like it's Mustafi's fault. It's just
Yeah, Mustafi. Yeah, look, and I kind of almost get the Mustafi one, but you've got to, like, let's face it, he's caused some really fucking shocking goals again.
yeah, he has. But now, because people expect that, when things aren't his fault, they still look to him. Like he can back off when maybe he shouldn't, and then someone else can get nutmegged and fall in their ass, and they go, oh, "Fucking Mustafi there, what a joke!" And you're like, "What?"
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, it's strange how. Yeah, and I thought it was Southampton. Yeah, I thought he had an all right game. I think he got a yellow by memory, but I can't. I'm just trying to think what that was. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. We do have some questions. It's not going to be a long show, to be honest. Like,
yeah, just before we get on to questions, if anyone is, and I tweeted this in reply to Charlie Shanks' drawing, I'm all for any Kieran Tierney propaganda. Like, I've been saying how much I like him since the day he signed, maybe even before he signed. He obviously got man in a match against Sheffield United. The guy is just exactly what we need. Like, he can get up and down. He's quick. He heads the ball. His crossing is very good. He tends to pick out the right option. He'll smash someone, and he turns up with a Tesco carrier bag. Like, what more could you want?
No, I do like him. I like him. He's good. So, and it's interesting to see what, and we'll talk about this after questions because I want to pick your brain on a couple of transfer rumours and things on how we are looking at the team building for next season. So obviously,
you know your lot of signed Mkhitaryan today.
Yeah, I've seen that. And we also signed Pedro, I think, too.
Oh, that's been done for ages, but he signed a 3-week extension for Chelsea. You've got him as well,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was my birthday the other day, and then blokes say, how good were they? They give me $40 voucher for their Roma store. I thought, what did I get from Arsenal? Fucking nothing. Not even a fucking.
I didn't even know it was your birthday, so I can't blame anyone.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
It's weird. The whole website just shut down and froze on me. So sorry, everybody, for that. But anyway, we're back and we will do some questions and I'll work out some editing stuff later. So how do we beat Manchester City? Chelsea, Norwich United and even Spurs have beaten them, says MAA Gunner. And what I was saying before we dropped out is, how does Arteta change his team and thinking about the defeat that happened, 2 weeks ago or last week?
It's difficult because we don't know what his game plan was. Whatever it was certainly ruined after 2 minutes with Xhaka going off and then 22 minutes with Mari going off. So, and then obviously half time with a sending off, or just after half time. So it's hard to know what his game plan will be, and it's difficult because we'll see. I guess we'll see this week if he sticks with 5 at the back. I'd say he probably wouldn't against Norwich at home, but you never know. It's a strange one because you listed the teams that beat them, and you can say Tottenham were very lucky, and I'm not saying it because it was Tottenham. They could have been 3 or 4-0 down at half time. City missed a penalty and missed untold chances, and then Tottenham got one, and then City got a man sent off, and Tottenham controlled the game after that point. Man United just beat them, to be honest. They were the better team on the day, and the Chelsea game the other day, Chelsea went 1-0 up through a mistake. And I'd say the game was pretty even, maybe 60-40 to Man City. Then Man City scored and they battered them for 10, 15 minutes. And I think that's the key. You've got to accept there's going to be periods in the game where City are going to have all of the ball. They're going to have chances. And I think you've just got to accept that in that period, they're going to be better than you. Just weather it out and try not to concede. And if you do concede, make sure the game's still intact. So don't then go and fall apart or try and attack back straight away and get countered and concede another. Try and ride out the storm and then have another go. And that's what Chelsea done. I'd say after City scored the De Bruyne free kick, for 10-15 minutes, there was only one winner, and it was going to be City. But Chelsea rode out that storm, and then ended up having 2 or 3 chances even before the goal. And then obviously Fernandinho got sent off, and City got Chelsea got the winner. And then from that point on, they controlled the game. Obviously, they're playing against 10 men. So I think it's hard to say what to do from the start, because if everyone knew that, it would be easy. What I will say is, I know he didn't start against them in the league. For me, you have to start Pepe, and you have to keep him high up the pitch. If it's against Mendy or Zinchenko, it doesn't matter. Because either one of them, they're not going to go forward. And if they do, their centre-backs ain't really going to fancy being one-on-one, like left one-on-one with Pepe if the defender's gone too far forward. And especially, I mean, I assume we'll play 5 at the back with 2 or 3 sort of central holding midfielders. Like, leave them to take the wing back. So if Mendy or Zinchenko goes on the gallop, tell Pepe to stay high up the pitch and get whoever the right side of the free centre midfielder is to cover and help the wing back. Look, it's not easy. If there was an easy blueprint to beat City, everyone would be beating them. But it can be done.
Controversial. Do you start David Luiz?
If the game was tomorrow, yes. I mean, I think you have to. You look at, unless, the only way I wouldn't is if he starts Saka as left wing back and Tierney as a left centre back. But if you look at the actual centre backs, you say that the starting 3 at the moment would be Mustafi, Holding, David Luiz.
For me, a guy will come out like, okay, and why I say controversial, because everyone's going to go, oh fuck, he's fucked us last week again or the other week against City. We don't want him in an FA Cup semi-final. But for me, he's a professional athlete who knows he fucked up, okay, and he's going to want to make amends of what happened the other week. So I think he plays his heart out against City, and once bitten, but you won't bite me again type thing. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where my mentality's thinking on David Luiz starting for City in the FA Cup, starting against City in the FA Cup.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people will be spewing.
The game's however long away. Who knows what's going to happen and who's going to be fit and whatnot. But look at the moment, Arteta obviously doesn't fancy Socrates. He's not good enough on the ball. And then you go, that leaves either of the defenders. It's the ones that are fit. You go Mustafi, Holding, Luiz. Arguably, Kolasinac played out of position, and arguably Tierney played out of position. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tierney and at left centre back, and then Saka at wing back. I don't know if that's the option I'd go for. I'd probably say it's not, but hey, it's possible. It's what they've done against Southampton.
MAA Gunner, this is more for you because I have no idea what he's talking about. What do you make of the reaction to our game? BT and MOTD had nothing nice to say about us. I presume they're TV stations or something, don't they?
Yeah, BT's a station, Match of the Day's a program.
Okay.
It was painful. I mean, I'd seen loads of comments on Twitter that, like, the BT, especially because the game was live on BT, and then they've gone back to their studio. For some reason, they usually try and get like a balanced pundit. So the game after was Leicester-Chelsea, and they had Joe Cole on sort of the Chelsea side of things and Robbie Savage on the Leicester thing. With us, they decided that Rio Ferdinand and Robin Van Persie would be 2 good pundits. I don't know where the fuck they got that idea from. And it was painful. They just sucked the life out of any victory. If you watched that and didn't see the game, you'd have thought we lost. So
okay.
Yeah. They just hammered us. And then Match of the Day is a highlights package just on maybe, I don't know, 10 hours after or something. So I've watched that, and their pundits was Dion Dublin and Alex Scott. Again, don't really know why. I mean, one of them presents Homes Under the Fucking Hammer. Great program. But I thought, I'll give it a watch, even though I've watched the game live and whatnot, but I want to see if they give us sort of any praise and how they look at it. And it was exactly the same. They just hammered us. Like, it was funny because United win the day before in extra time against Norwich, against 10 men. I'm not going to say they scraped for it. They deserve to win, but they score in the 117th minute, I think it was. And it's like, the headlines are Man United deserved win against Norwich. We go away to Sheffield United, who are above us in the league, and way above Norwich in the league, winning normal time, and the narrative is like, oh, fucking Arsenal shit, but they somehow got through, and it was crazy. I mean, I saw Charles Watts, who's one of the Arsenal-based journalists. He obviously didn't see the highlights because he was at the game. So he's watched Match of the Day when he's got home, and he tweeted like, "Did I get it wrong? Here was me thinking Arsenal won today." Like, it was that negative.
Okay.
It was, look, and I'm not saying we played the best, but as I said, when the United headlines against a much worse team is, oh, they deserve their extra time win. Fair enough, they did, but you can't say, oh, they've gone away to a tough place and won in normal time like you can with us. But their headlines are positive, and ours were, I wouldn't even say balanced. They were very negative.
Oh, we had Ian Wright. I'm trying to. Who did we have the other? Yeah, Ryder usually pops up on most Arsenal games, which is good. But he tells it as it is too, right?
Ian Wright usually does Match of the Day, but when it's Match of the Day, either 2 or for FA Cups, it's like they roll out their B team, not even their B team, like their D team. Like, so usually got like Gary Lineker, Ian Wright, Alan Shearer are usually the main guys on Match of the Day. There's other sort of pundits pop in and out, but it's usually them three. But when you get to the FA Cup, which they doesn't really seem like they care about, they just let any old twat on.
Would signing David Silva on a free be a bad idea? I've seen this floating around last week. Was there heavy rumours or something?
No, there's none at all. Obviously, we know he's going from City on a free. I think Charlie Shanks mentioned this the other day, and I said I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's confirmed or I've dreamt it, but I'm pretty sure he's joining Beckham in Miami.
Okay.
I may have completely made that up, but I'm sure that was. I mean, look, I don't think it's been like announced, agreed, but I think it was being spoke about like one of them, the worst secrets in football sort of thing, that he was going to go and be. You know, every time there's a new team, especially, they get a star man that
that might be
a big name.
I
just thought that was sort of not common knowledge because it's not confirmed, but that was the narrative that everyone was going by.
Okay, what realistic players would be good backup or even an improvement on Granit? He's become too critical under Arteta that we're fucked without him. But he also has his weaknesses that cost us. What improvement for Granit?
Yeah, I mean, I think
a good backup. Basically, I guess what he's saying is when he's out of the team, who do we bring in?
Yeah, see, I don't know. Is it? Well, yeah. I mean, one answer is it easier to get him to cut out the mistakes than get a replacement? I'd say probably. But in terms of a name, it's difficult because you want someone that can pass the ball, decent range, like get decent distance. And I think what most people miss, and I've been saying this for as long as I can remember, I don't care who wears the armband, he is the captain on the pitch.
Yep.
And that's something, and I know a lot of people have been agreeing with that recently because now it's in silent, you can hear who's screaming at who and who's saying what. And again, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else because I go to games, but this is what I've been seeing every week for the last however many years he's been there. So I think leadership skills, difficult to replace. Well, not difficult to replace, but difficult to replace with someone that's going to start in the team. In terms of ability, look, there's loads of players out there.
You know what I've seen, Granit? You know what type of player I see in Granit? And this is my worry, why I don't want to get rid of Granit too soon, and I could be totally off the mark here. Remember De Bruyne before he came to Manchester City? When he was with Chelsea and then he went away, learned his trade, and then he's come back to Manchester City and it's like, wow. I kind of see that in Granit a long time, an early De Bruyne, and maybe Granit can turn into that player.
I mean, I don't see him in the same.
I'm not comparing them.
Realm.
Don't compare them. But don't compare them. But I mean, like, is there that player in Granit in the future?
No, not for me. I mean, look, Granit is a good player in his own right, and you're going to get people that hate him and disagree with that. But I personally think they're wrong. I don't think there's too much improvement in him. I think you can maybe cut out some of the mistakes. But it's a narrative with Xhaka. Every time he gets booked, people are going to say he gets booked every week and gets sent off every week, even though he's been sent off twice, and one of them was never a red card for us. I mean,
Yeah.
And every time he makes a mistake, he could go next season and make one mistake, and people will go fucking every week. Or it's the scrutiny every time he gives the ball away. It's like fucking Xhaka gives the ball away again. It's like, well, what about the other 99 he made? That scrutiny is never going to leave him.
Mate, he could go to Italy next year and carve it up and smash it. And Arsenal fans will say absolutely nothing until the year after. He's still carving it up and going, oh, fuck, we let one go. That's what'll happen. How many players has that happened to?
There's always been that argument with Xhaka, though, that he would thrive in a slower league. I'm not particularly sure that's true. Obviously, everything around him would be slower, and that would help his defensive side of his game. But I always say this. I think people don't realise how quickly he passes the ball and how much that helps, like when breaking lines. And in Italy, and especially, it's harder to do that because they're more organised, and where it is a slower pace, the lines tend to get back quicker. So it's a lot harder to break them. But it's difficult. I mean, if you're going to replace Xhaka, I think the main thing we miss, and I know he's tall and he's physically quite good, but the main thing we miss when he's not there is his passing range.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players that can do that and have that, but for what price? And are you going to be happy with the rest of their game? It's probably quite easy to replace the main thing we miss, and you could probably look at. I'm struggling to put a name on it, but there'll be players at sort of slightly lower level. I don't mean lower leagues, but you know what I mean. I'm not just putting this out there. Might be someone at Everton that has a similar passing range, or Watford. I don't think there is, but do you know what I mean? There's probably players that can replace one part of his game, but could he be replaced? Yeah. How much would it cost? I don't know. What's the name that's going to replace him and do the job he does? Don't know. But as I said, I think a better answer to the question is, can you change the way we play to make him not so vital? And I think that's a better way to go about it. But
even as a backup option, though. Even as a backup option. So I'm just reading back over MAA Gunner's question. What realistic player would be a good backup or even an improvement on Granit? So, obviously Guendouzi can't fill that void. Torreira can't. Ceballos can't. Willock can't. So we're looking at players who we missed Granit the last two games. People might sit there and go, oh, fuck off. We didn't. But, we did. Okay? We did. So them last the two games that we lost, Granit wasn't there, and what's a good backup option? I don't know. I don't even know if you can buy a $20 million player out there that's going to be a good backup option. I don't know.
But for me, the bigger problem is that you can't have someone like him that being so vital. So it's more an issue with how we play. I mean, even I know you just spoke about it, but you look at Man City, and for me, De Bruyne is the best player in the league. Him or Mane are the two best players. For me, I know there'll be loads of people that don't agree, but he's not integral to City. Like, De Bruyne drops out, and they're obviously slightly worse because they're losing the best player in the league. But do you know what I mean? It's not like they
still win without him. Yeah, they still win.
Yeah, and they still look the same. Like Foden or Silva or Mahrez or Bernardo slips into that role, and they don't quite do it as well. Gundogan, but they do that job.
They do it. Yeah.
In a slightly different way, and it still suits the team. I think the problem with Arsenal is it's kind of Xhaka or bust, and I think the bigger problem is not replacing or having a backup for Xhaka, is forming a system where no one is absolutely vital. I mean, you look at Liverpool, and obviously they're pissed the league this year, and maybe Van Dijk is the only player you would say they're in a bit of trouble if he doesn't play. As I said, Mane for me is definitely top 2 in the league. But you take him out, and again, they're weaker, but it doesn't fundamentally change them. Other people will argue Salah's better, but you take him out and it doesn't fundamentally change them. Firmino maybe because he bounces off them, but they're still going to get goals from wide. Henderson, you take him out, and there's a strong rumour that he's going to win Player of the Year, but you take him out the team, and it's not like, oh, fucking hell, they're really weak today. Or they're going to play totally different because he's not there. I think the issue is Arsenal is we're too dependent on one player, and I don't think we should be dependent on anyone. And it's not just one player, because at the other end of the pitch, we're dependent on Aubameyang for goals. And you look at any good team, you can take out, okay, it's different if you've got 4 or 5 injuries, but only one, it shouldn't really make an impact, or not a huge impact. Like, not that I want to compare us to Tottenham, but Harry Kane was out for a long time, and Son was scoring non-stop, and they didn't really get any weaker. I would argue last season that they were stronger without Kane, as much as I think he's a good player. Their problems came when Son, Kane and Bergwijn were all injured at the same time. And that's understandable that you're going to be weaker. But with us, it's like one player gets injured and we fall apart.
And look, I was just listening to you there. I feel that's a lot of our positions. Like, you know, Pepe goes out. Well, who steps there? If Aubameyang gets injured, who steps there? Lacazette, obviously, he's not the upfront choice.
I would say it's only at the moment, and Pepe has potential to be that kind of player, but at the moment it's only Aubameyang and Xhaka where we're like, fuck, we're in trouble today if they're not playing.
Yeah, okay. With Lacazette and Guendouzi having 2 years left on their contracts, I didn't know Lacazette. Okay, 2 years. Okay, left on their contracts and not looking like they'll renew. How much will selling them help us financially? This goes back to the old thing that Raul said was, well, I think it was him who said it. You know, if they don't sign 2 years, they go. So. If that's
they've been proven to be full of shit, but yeah, they did say it.
Yeah,
yeah. Look, in terms of how much would it help our finances, and I hate finance questions because we ain't got a clue. Basically, we don't know if we can assume we're the poorest club because everyone keeps telling us we're the poorest club, but they're saying that base. Like, look at last summer, and I know we played installments, but most transfers are. But we was here and we're broke. We can only spend 30 million. And I remember clearly when we were linked with Saliba, that it was like, well, Arsenal are spending their whole budget on an 18-year-old defender that they're not going to have next year. And then we sign him, and then we go and get Pepe for 72 million, and then it's, oh yeah, but they're paying in installments.
Yeah,
and then we go and buy Martinelli, and it's like, oh, why are they buying another kid? What was it, 8 million, and they don't really have the budget. And then we go and get Ceballos on loan, and with whatever loan fee we've paid. And
David Luiz, 7-8
David Luiz, So Kieran Tierney, 25 million, and it's like, and then the narrative changes to, oh yeah, but they're paying in installments.
Yeah,
the fact is, we ain't got a clue. In terms of rebuilding the squad, I think that they're two players that they could be easily replaced. We could replace well, is a better way of saying it, for the money we get for them. But finance it, I just hate it because I don't know. We might be broke and we might really need the money. We might also have fuck tons of money and we're just hearing this story from the media all the time. I don't know either way.
No, it's true. I don't know. Lacazette, I don't think Lacazette. Look, he has not. Let's face it. Okay, there's Lacazette lovers out there, but he has not performed since he's been at Arsenal. I'm sorry to say, he's not that same player, and I don't think you'll get any more than your 30 to 35 mil for Lacazette. I can't see him bringing in a big transfer fee. Guendouzi, maybe last year when he came out and everyone was like, oh, who's this kid? But now I'm like, well, his value's probably dropped a bit too. So, yeah, that's my thought.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't get at least 70 for the pair.
Yeah. Geez, what, 35 each?
Well, you could go 30, 40, 45, 25, I don't know, but I think minimum of 70 to the pen.
Yeah. FPL Canada, obviously we can't compete with City skill-wise, so the only way to beat them is an extremely good tactical plan. I've no idea what that is, but hopefully Arteta does. What formation players plan would you use? And you touched on that a bit before, didn't you?
Yeah.
Lewis says thoughts on the 2 extra team talks in each game via the water breaks. We're utilising them well, being used against us as well. I actually seen that and I thought, oh, what's going on here? And yeah, but I think it's just a quick water break. It's how much information does one get across on them little talks?
I don't like them. I understand the water breaks are there because players aren't quite fit and they want to keep them hydrated to avoid injury. Also, obviously, it's the middle of our summer and they wouldn't usually be playing at this time. So they've got water breaks in. And some games have needed them because it's been so hot. But I think in the first couple of games...
22 degrees there? How hot is it?
There's been games that have been played in like 8 degrees and they're going to get water, but there has been games in the 30s. So you can understand, but they don't judge it game by game. It's set, which is also a bit annoying. But it started off the first couple of games was you went over, you got a drink, and the game got carried on. And now it has become like a tactical break, and I don't like it. Like teams are using it to break up play, and they're taking a little bit longer, or the refs allowing them to take longer, and it is like being used to slow the game down. I can't say how well we've particularly used them. I mean, I can't remember any incidents at Southampton. I know the first one the other day against Sheffield United was straight after we scored the penalty. The ref actually tried to take it before we took the penalty, and only some players listened. So then when we scored the penalty, a couple of Arsenal players walked over to get a drink, and he was half like, "What are you on about?" And then half the pitch had already gone, so he had to go along with it. But yeah, on the whole, I don't know, it might be me being stupid, but I think there should be a time on it. And I also think that it should probably be done in the middle of the pitch. And the water boy comes, that's not a job here, but I don't know what else to call him. The water boy comes on with the waters, everyone has a drink, and they fuck off again because where does it stop?
Well, my only thing that I notice is it does break up momentum. So if a team's against you and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, shit. It breaks up, man. But that can work either way too, because, you know, if Manchester City's romping all over us, well, that could give us just that quick break. So it's not a biggie for me. I get what you're saying, but it's not. It works both ways.
Look, I'm not saying it's biased. I'm not saying it's biased. I just don't like it. There's thoughts, there's rumours that they're going to try and keep it because it's a chance to get advertising breaks in so they can earn more money.
Oh, yeah, they will.
I mean, they don't switch to adverts here, but obviously there's a possibility that could happen. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. I mean, I understand why it's in, but I'd be heavily against keeping it when football is back to whatever normal is now.
Normal is, yep. Lewis says, thoughts on a back three. Look pretty decent against Saints and even more secure with Luiz on Sunday. Move Pepe more inside and attack, which seems to be a better idea. Yeah, he was too wide. He was too wide, as we touched on against Southampton. I'm just thinking, Sheffield, yeah, because I didn't see that. Was he out as wide against that in the FA Cup?
No, nowhere near, and he tucked in a lot more as well. I mean, the first half against Sheffield United, it's weird because they both wear the same colour kits. When I'm thinking, I'm getting confused. And
yeah,
no, against Sheffield United, I'd arguably say the first half was his best half of football for us. He was a constant menace. Obviously, he got the goal, but it's a penalty. Anyone can score that. The only other shot we had on target was him breaking. The defenders were never quite sure what to do with him, and he seemed to sort of do the simple things when he needed to do the simple things, and the more difficult things when the time was right. I think he dropped off a bit in the second half, but that might be physicality. He obviously played 70 odd minutes against Southampton in the heat. Southampton was a hot one a few days before, but I thought that the first half he was very good. He joined play well, but a lot of people and pretty much Twitter was going mad after the game, putting it down to him playing with Ainsley, because I think he probably looked better before when he was playing with Ainsley. I don't think he's really looked good in any game with Hector, maybe the Newcastle game. I can't remember if Hector played. And yeah, I mean, he just looks so much better and so much more comfortable with Ainsley there, giving him space to do his work and making the runs where I think Hector makes runs that get in people's way or get in Pepe's way, whereas Ainsley was making the runs that took the defenders away from him, and then he had the option of either giving it to Ainsley or being one-on-one with a defender. He was.
Yeah, okay.
Whether you can give the credit all to Pepe or not, but he was very good in the first half, especially against Sheffield United.
Okay. Sam, at Commonly, he changed his name because I couldn't play his name last time, so he's narrowed it down to Sam. Thanks, buddy. There are talks of Partey to Arsenal. In case that happens, how should we set our midfield? For me, Granit, Partey, and Ozil would be perfect. Your thoughts?
We don't know what's happening with Ozil. I think he said today, in a press conference today, he said about having two attacking midfielders. I can't really see that. I mean, we touched on this last week, and I said I think it will be someone who you would say is not quite a 10, and the only example I thought of was Grealish, that they can play that they're going to be more advanced, but you wouldn't say they're a 10 in that midfield three. So I think as we're sitting right now, that obviously there's a long time to go and then a transfer window. But as we're sitting now, if it was to come in, I'd say it would be Partey as the more defensive option, with Xhaka to one side, and as I said, a more attacking a player similar to Ramsey. And then we've been linked with a few that type of player that they can play as a 10, but they're more maybe a midfielder that gets forward rather than a 10. That's how I would imagine it to be.
Yeah, just two. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm looking at the question, and I'm thinking, for me, you could sit here and say all day on who it's going to be and what the midfield's going to be. And mate, thank you, Sam, for your question, but I just can't answer it until at least we know what's happening. Like, first thing you said was we don't know what's happening with Ozil. And as soon as you said that, I went, yeah, true. So I don't know what midfield. Would I like that midfield? Yeah, I possibly would like that midfield, Granit, Partey and Ozil. But then, you said it the other week, and I've seen a few people slamming you that we are a better team with Ozil. And, hey, I have to agree, we are a better team with Ozil. But it's Ozil, where we're rating an Ozil as a few years ago, and then he's at the team. There's so many questions that I've got around that one player and to fit in the midfield. And then Granit, we all sit there with Granit like his long ball execution is brilliant, but he's defensively, he's not so brilliant. Then Partey, I hear that's his strength. So I don't know. I honestly, I need to have a look at things when I know the team for next season. It's so hard. 49-49. Thoughts on Saka in the left? 8 positions. Great dribbler, final ball. How do you see our transition build to play progressing with him in that role? Well, there's another one. Saka. When you're talking, does he go back in the midfield? It's so many questions around this team, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't see Saka in that centre midfield role. I mean, he played there against Brighton, and the team sheet, well, the way the graphics were done on, I think it was on Sky Sports, listed him in the middle against Southampton. He didn't fucking play there. He played as a left wing back, and then against Sheffield United, he played as a left winger, and he was a little bit tucked in. Obviously, you'd say Pepe was the more attacking of the two, even though on the team sheet it looks like they're playing in the same position but on different sides. It's a tough one with Saka because he seems to do a job wherever he plays. If you'd have asked me at the start of the season, the guy's a left winger, and I wouldn't have had any doubt in answering that. And I still probably say that's where I see him. But he's made a case to, if we're going to play wing backs, you could put him there. Left back, I'd put him there in an emergency. I wouldn't say it'd be my first choice left back. And that left edge of the centre midfield, look, I don't think he's ever going to play there long term because that's Granit's spot. Because that allows the left back to maraud on because Granit can cover in. I think Saka's a left winger, but he didn't look great on the right, but I have seen him play there before, and he can play there. I really hope he doesn't become a victim of his own success and become a player that sort of just gets dropped in here, there, and everywhere because he can do it.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Sorry, I'm just answering questions as we're going because, and that's the end of questions on Twitter. But thank you everybody at @clockend_talk. We did have a mishap on iTunes, and people are messaging me going, "Mate, how do we get back to iTunes?" It's the show's there. The last show was in April, so it's there. Yes, we are still there on iTunes. Unsubscribe to that show in April. Search Clock End Talk in your podcast app and resubscribe. Now, our latest show was last week, but I don't know. Some technical fuck up happened with iTunes, so that's what's happened there. It's not so yeah. Just unsubscribe. Search Clock End Talk again in the apps, within whatever app you use, Podbean, Podcast, whatever app. And then resubscribe, and then you'll get the latest shows because the RSS feed for the old one just disappeared. So, okay.
Yeah. No one's been doing player ratings, have they?
No, we didn't do it last week either because since we gone to this type of weekly format of the show, and then with the COVID and things, it all stopped. So I can go back to where we were last time, but I think, and you're going to hate me for this, I think Granite was leading it.
No, I mean, not us, not 3-2-1s, but someone, Craig or whoever, used to do the player ratings, and I used to come on and call him a cunt for completely disagreeing with everything he said.
Yeah.
No, the player rating. I feel like I'm missing out on abusing people, whoever that may be. Nothing personal.
Yeah, that's another thing because we stopped the patron side of things. There was COVID, and then there was a big. Basically, I'll be honest, Patreon have decided to charge all you people what I know as GST. You might have it as sales tax over your way, an extra 10%. And I just thought it was unfair. I thought, no, that's unfair. And then in Australia, I have to claim that GST, and it was like just a complete and utter mess. A path I don't want to go down. So I said, look, let's just can the Patreon. Craig said he was busy and wouldn't have time for ratings as well. So that was like, yeah, okay. So that's what happened to the ratings. It's all been a bit of a, well, I'll be honest, it's football stopped for 3 months and everybody got a life. And then now
remember when I said that at the start and people criticised me?
Yeah, everyone got a life. And basically now football's back, but then we haven't got much to play for. It's like, well, do I want to come back and do what I was doing before, or do I want to live my life? So that's type of where the Clock End Talk's at, I guess, is we're still here.
I got absolutely hammered for saying that as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I've noticed a lot of people have, like you still get all the Twitter idiots and whatnot out there, but a lot are like that lately. They're like, I don't know if I'll come back. I know a lot of my mates in Australia who used to watch live don't so much watch live no more. They're like, I'll watch it the next day, or I'll watch an extended highlights package 2 days later. So it's
I think it went sort of one of two ways, especially judging by my mates who support a variety of teams. It's not all Arsenal fans. And you've got people, and I'm in the first category where they miss football sort of so much. You're just watching everything. Like the amount of games I've watched where I really don't care. Like fucking Southampton, Watford, and I pretty much watched every game. Maybe not all of it, but I've watched a part of every game live. And the only time I haven't is when games have clashed. So if I'm watching, I don't know, us as a 6 o'clock kickoff, I'm obviously not watching the other game. But I've watched a part of the game at every time slot. And so you get them type of people. And then you get the other type of people that just don't. And maybe it's because the season's sort of finished for their club or whatever. But they just don't really care. And as you said, they're not watching live. They may check up the scores. And also the other thing is, it's different for you. But in England, it's not social at the moment because you can't go to the pub and watch it. So you can't, unless you have all your mates around your house, which isn't really allowed. And it's also not the same. You can't. So a lot of people like football. They like football, but they also like the social side of it. And you've not got that at the moment. So I think a lot of people have gone one of two ways. I wouldn't say they've completely left the sport and gone, I don't like football anymore, but they've either gone football obsessive or like, football, sort of, I'll watch it when I watch it.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's so I've noticed a massive change, in just going back. I think next season, I almost think you could ride this season off. Like, okay, Liverpool have won it. Oh, I better say congratulations to them. Do I have to? They were the better team all season. Let's face it. But I almost think this season's gone. Like, okay, if we come out of the FA Cup against City, and I'm not sure when that game is, I don't think you're going to see much more people even be interested in that much. It'll all type of go to transfer rumours. So, I don't think, we're still 10th, and what do we got coming up? We've got Norwich City, which should be a win. Wolves is a tough game at home. They're at home. Leicester's a tough game.
Liverpool and City, I think, are the 4 games.
Yeah, City, Liverpool. Yeah, so we got like some tough games there. I can't see us moving much more off 10th, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. So I think next season people will start getting back into it again. But then when's next season start too? Have they discussed that?
I also think, and maybe I'm biased because I'm generally part of it, a lot of people are enjoying it a lot less without crowds. Like, it does add a massive atmosphere. Even when I'm watching games I don't care about, as I said, I watched part of Watford Southampton, and it just felt a bit flat.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Like, if I was watching that even though it's a game that has no real effect on my life, if I was watching that with fans, it's a lot easier to get into. And also as well, I spend a lot of time like half watching games, so I'll be on my phone and it'll be on the TV. And when there's fans, you hear a sort of roar and you look up like, oh, what's going on? Without fans, you're sort of looking at your phone and you hear goal, like commentator go, oh yeah, Ings goal, and you're like, oh, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's hard. And that's why I couldn't get into the Bundesliga. I was like, I like watching a bit of the Bundesliga, but when there's no crowds, it's like I just couldn't get into it. It was a hard, tough watch.
Yeah, for me, and again, I don't know if it's me being biased or whatnot, but for me, it's definitely harder to watch football without fans.
Yeah, it is. I'm the same.
Also, do you know what else I struggle with? I don't really like one-sided games anyway. Like, a lot of times, like Man United tonight, when they went 3-0 up, I turn it off because it's just, for me, it's boring. Obviously, of course, unless it's Arsenal, and then it's fantastic. But I think them games, I don't like them games anyway. But without fans, I think they're near impossible to watch. Like, I think maybe if there was fans there and United went 3-0 up, do you know what I mean? You probably give it 10 or 15 minutes to see if the crowd can drag them back into the game or get them up for it, and a few tackles go flying in, and they might not get back into the game, but there'll be a couple of tasty challenges where you're like, oh, fucking hell, that was sort of exciting and interesting. He's gone to do him there. There might be a little bit of a fight. Whereas I think without fans, them type of games, they're just done. Like 3-0, no one gives a fuck. The Brighton players are thinking the game's gone. I don't want to use too much energy because we've got to play again in a couple of days, and every game's big for them at the moment. United players are thinking the same. We're 3-0 up. The game's done. We'll just stroll about. It's almost like teams come to an agreement that, okay, we'll just sort of settle. Whereas when there's fans there, the fans don't let you do that, because if fans see you're sort of not slacking, I don't know if slacking is the right word, but you're not giving it 100%, you're settling, they're going to get on your back and they're going to get on your case. So I just think there's so many types of games that have become a lot harder to watch without fans.
No, it is. It's tough. Just quickly before we go, I've just reading some news earlier this morning. There's talk about Saliba. They want to extend his loan over there or something. Have you heard any of that?
Arteta said in his press conference they've allowed him to stay. It was one of them. It sort of sounded like a no-brainer, like Leicester played a cup final, but I think there was a clause, or all the rumours say there was a clause, that if he played X amount of games this season, we owed them another $2.5 million. Okay. And this game was that trigger. So say, I think it was 18 and he's played 17.
Yeah.
So there were some people saying, they might not let him stay because of that $2.5 million. I don't know if they've negotiated anything with them, like, you can keep him but not pay the fee, or if they're just paying the fee. I don't know what's going on, but Arteta said in his press conference that he could stay and play in the cup final.
Okay. Okay. Righto, that's it, mate. I don't know, you guys might do something next week. I don't know if I'll be here. I might, who knows? I might say, hey, Tony, I am free. But in the meantime, look, Castbox seemed to work okay apart from it died for a little bit. I don't mind this platform because it is audio and you can listen to us while you're in your car or whatnot heading to work.
Well, what I might do, just sorry, before you go, if anyone listens to this in time, is I might come on, as long as people can hear me and they can type messages and even join in, I might come in on my own after games, like straight after games or sort of within, you know what I mean, the final whistle goes and with 20 minutes after or whatever. Come and sort of answer questions immediately. And obviously people can join the call. The only problem is obviously I don't know how to record and I use Castbox on my phone. So they might not be recorded, but if people want sort of instant reaction and interaction, then it's something I can do. Yeah,
and it doesn't matter if it's not recorded, mate. If at the end of the day, if they're joining live,
as long as just for anyone listening to this, I either tweet or WhatsApp in the group and say if you would bother, because I don't want to come on after a game and rant to myself, because I can do that looking in the mirror or sitting here in my boxes. If people are up for that and they would ask questions and they want to speak immediately after the game about this, that, and the other, because I mean, you know what it's like. We look in the WhatsApp group after a game's finished and there's 4 billion messages, and I don't like being on my phone during the game. When I'm watching football, I want to be watching football, like Arsenal, I mean. So I'm not going to then go and read back the 400 messages to find out different people's opinions and air mine. So if that's something people are interested in, let me know, and I can fire it up after games, and people can come and completely disagree with everything I say.
It's and the other one I was going to say was I'm going to muck around and have a look at I can't remember what's even called now, Live Yard or StreamYard or some bloody thing. Addy said it was good, so I'm going to just check that out over the week. I just got told, Ricky said to me that it's not on Podbean as well, so we do have a drama with Podbean. Look,
who's Ricky? Who's Ricky?
Ricky's a mate of mine. He's in the WhatsApp group. He's a listener, and he messaged me on Facebook and said, "Hey, Tez, I can't get it on Podbean. What's going on?" So I went, "Yeah, okay, righto." So Podbean is also something's gone big time with our podcast. It really has. I don't know why, but I think I know why. It's because we're too tight to spend $30 a month. But anyway, it's gone, and we are getting it back up and running. But at the meantime, we're just filling in the void. Next season, I might just bite the bullet and just go to a host that everybody can get it, and I'll work it out. But okay, thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Just quickly, it's probably you're not anyway. Those who are listening live now, because those who are listening later are going to be going, "What?" You're going to hear 2 lots of podcasts here. You're going to hear the first recording that we did, and then you're obviously going to hear the second recording, which was the questions, because that was something stuffed up on.
Can't you stitch them together?
No, I can't stitch them together. So I was like, "Oh, that sucks." Because it was a live recording. I don't think I can stitch them together. Yeah, it's like a nightmare, isn't it? I will try.
I need you to send me the password and shit for this so I can come on after the games. Otherwise, I can't do it.
Yeah, too easy. No, I'll do that. I'll get onto that. I'll do that straight away. Otherwise, I'll forget. Okay, thanks, mate.
Cheers. Switch it up.
See you all. Bye.